What is happening at J Gamer Dude here, and I'm going to be talking about how Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, like the actual reviews are actually out now, which is quite surprising. It's pretty much it seems like the embargo dropped a week before the actual game's release. So I did sit through and actually look through a few of the reviews and things like that, just to kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. But I didn't want to ruin or spoil too much for myself. I am actually in the middle of playing through the original Final Fantasy VII. In fact, I think I'm almost finished with Disc 2. But I'm just playing through it just to kind of remind myself of the story, where we are, where the game is kind of leading towards and things like that. But I just thought I would make a video on the fact that FF7 Rebirth is actually doing quite well in terms of its Metacritic scores and things like that. And so at the so as of this article's publishing by Chris Scullion at VGC, FF7 Rebirth has a 93 on Metacritic, second only to Final Fantasy 9. Yay, thank you, true Final Fantasy fans, man. Because Final Fantasy 9 is my personal favorite. People say that 7 is really, really good. And it is an exceptionally good game. It's just that 9 for me was so much better because it hit me right in the heart. There was a lot of good. 9 is one of my favorite games of all time. So I'm not going to, put too much out there because 7 is still a really good game. But I won't talk too much into it. I'm in the middle of making a video regarding FF7 Rebirth and where the story is and kind of doing some theorizing and things like that. But I'm not going to try and not get too ahead of myself at the moment. With that being said though, so Rebirth is currently sitting at a 93 and Final Fantasy 9 at a 94. And so I thought, hold on, let me just have a quick look at Metacritic, because this article was published, and obviously I don't know if Chris actually went back to he hasn't gone back to update this, but it looks like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has actually dropped to a 92 on Metacritic. And so that's still surprisingly high. This is higher than I actually expected it would be, not gonna lie. I thought it would actually be a lot lower. In fact, hold on, am I recording? Oh, you can barely see the 92 as I'm recording it, because it is slightly zoomed in. Let me just kind of unzoom out a bit. There we go. 92, there you go, you can see it now. Currently sitting at a 92 on Metacritic. Final Fantasy 9, of course, still very much at a 94. So it's good to see that Rebirth is doing really well. And I thought that it was actually going to be lower than that, lower than a 92, only because of how I've been reading a lot of people having their thoughts about the story and things like that. But obviously you can't put spoilers out in a review or anything like that. Obviously not including FF14, because the Endwalker and Shadowbringers expansions did have a score of 92 and 90, which is still actually quite high. Final Fantasy VIII has a 90, and FF7 Remake has a 87, and the Integrate upgrade, so the inclusion of the DLC, turned into an 89. So it looks like Final Fantasy, from what I can tell, is just a really high scoring among the critics type of series. Even 15, which was one of the lowest rated ones, is still at an 81. Hold on, wait, then where did 13 score in that case? Hold on, I'm actually curious. So this article only covers 15, 7 Remake, as well as Integrate, FF14 expansions. Final Fantasy X though, sitting at a 92, the GBA version of Final Fantasy 6 and okay, so Final Fantasy 6 on the GBA, Final Fantasy 10 and 12, and the original Final Fantasy 7 all scored around a 92. That's interesting. Okay, numbers are looking quite out there. and yet the only one topping the lot is Final Fantasy 9 at a 94, which is well deserved because that is an exceptionally good story. I enjoyed Final Fantasy 9 personally because it reminded me a lot of what Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 4 were, because I haven't actually jumped into 3 all that much, but it kind of went back to this kind of story you'd expect to see with Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, and I'm not going to talk about 3 because I haven't played it, but also Final Fantasy 4. Very much still in the fantasy world. And honestly, like, again, my favorite character right here is this little black mage here called Vivi. Vivi, his story is quite possibly the one that kind of, resonated with me the most. I don't know if other people agree, but let me know if you guys have, played Final Fantasy, like, actually, you know what? A better question. People who are watching this, are you the type of person that plays Final Fantasy games? Like, do you play Final Fantasy games at all? If so, put it into the comments below whether or not you do or do not play Final Fantasy games, but also which is your personal favorite, because I did not realize that my personal favorite was also the highest on Metacritic with Final Fantasy 9. Don't get me wrong, 7 is really good. 8 left me in like a ton of confusion. Maybe if I replay it now, I might be able to appreciate it more, but 9 struck with me the hardest. Again, I'm most likely going to platinum 7, 8, and 9 if it weren't for the Hail to the King trophy in Final Fantasy 9, where you have to jump rope 1,000 times in a row without stopping, which is kind of insane in and of itself. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, about if you play Final Fantasy games, what is your favorite Final Fantasy game, and just kind of things like that, and whether or not you actually prefer 7 Remake sort of half action, half RPG approach, or you'd rather it be full RPG with the original Final Fantasy 7, sort of turn-based action with ATB cages and things like that, or whether you'd prefer full action with Final Fantasy 16. If you're going to do any action at all, go full action. If you're going to have any RPG at all, go full RPG. This middle ground is really not clicking with me, and it genuinely didn't. Even when I was playing through hard mode, that was the only time in which I truly learned, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be playing the game, when I actually started playing on hard mode after beating the super bosses and getting the Gottdamerung. So if you're ever going to play through the game on hard mode, to make life as easy as possible for yourself, it's worth beating the Pride and Joy in order to get the Gottdamerung, which allows you to automatically use any, use a character's limit break immediately, and that limit break gauge does fill up fairly quickly over time as well. So that is that. Let me know what you guys thought about this video in the comments below as well. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 200 subs by the end of the year. And I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.